record. All right. Hello again, everybody. We're so happy to have you on today as we go through some top eco-friendly options for ownership in Belize. My name is Rachel Jensen. I am the owner of Luna Realty here in Belize. I'm located on Ambergris Caye, but this country really has become my home over the last decade. It is a place I'm very passionate about and telling people about. And if you haven't had the chance to come down yet, we certainly invite you to do so. I know it's not uncommon for Belize to see what first-time visitors come and then they become repeated visitors coming on down to the country, checking out different spots. Although it's a small country about the size of Massachusetts, there are a lot of different places for people to explore. And we're going to go through different ownership options, eco-friendly options throughout the entire country today. And it really is just a snapshot of the opportunities available. There are certainly more than what I'm showing you, but I have filtered out through a lot of the ownership opportunities and do think that these are some of the top ones out there. So over the next, I'd say about half an hour, 45 minutes, we're going to go through just a quick overview about Belize. We're going to go through 11 opportunities available right now, and then we'll have an open forum for questions and answers. So if you have not yet joined us for a Belize 101 webinar, which is where it's about an hour and 15 minutes, I know it's a little bit of time, but we go through what Belize is like, the different districts in Belize, what you should know about Belize before owning real estate here. I'm going to recommend that you reach out to us, info@Luna Realty Belize, info@lunarealtybelize.com. We'll get you the Belize 101 webinar recording. It is a must listen for people who haven't yet had the chance to join us for the live session. And it's really important, I found, for people who are coming to Belize to own real estate to really understand the market that you're coming into. It is quite different from North America, and a lot of times people just don't really know what to expect. So I do highly recommend reaching out for that Belize 101 if you did not join us for the live session last month, and there's the best email address for you there. So today we're going to cover a few of the different districts, the most popular where people are owning real estate, and we're going to be focusing on Ambergris Caye, Keycocker, Coyote District, also Stand Creek District. We're not going to talk about tours all much today, but if that is a place where you have interest, feel free to let me know, and I can talk to you offline about those areas. So just some quick highlights about Belize. The population is about 400,000. As we mentioned, Belize is small. It's about the size of Massachusetts, but with the 6 different districts there are many places to look at when you're considering ownership of real estate, and each place really has a different feel to it. So if you haven't had a chance to come down before, what I recommend is on that first trip down, plan to spend a couple of days in a 2 or 3 different locations if you're not sure where you want to be. Some people know they want to come to Ambergris Caye, they want to be close to the diving. Some people want to be in Coyote, they want to be close to the jungles. But if you're not really sure, plan to spend some time throughout the country. One of the big reasons we're finding that people are coming down to Belize from a vacation perspective and also from an ownership perspective is the fact that English is the official language here. Now, you will find that Spanish and Creole are both spoken, but English is what all of your paperwork will be in. And when you're greeted at the airport, they'll say, "Hi, welcome to Belize." So you don't have to try to navigate through a different language. There are a lot of reasons that Belize is popular. You know, I just mentioned before, the diving and the snorkeling. We are well known for that because we parallel the barrier reef here on Ambergris Caye. But I do want to also have you remember that Belize is a developing country. So there is still a lot that needs growth in this country. It's a fairly young country. They gained their independence from Britain in 1981. So they're still figuring out processes and procedures in some cases. And in many places, it is still developing. So do bear that in mind as you are looking at the country. And, you know, for a while, a lot of times people were building off-grid homes here in Belize because they didn't have access to public utilities. So it's not actually uncommon to buy land somewhere here in the country, but not actually have road access or not have utility hookups for water or public electricity. And so people, as a result, were getting creative. It's, you know, I really like this location. I can easily put a road in, right? That part we can get figured out. But how am I going to have my day-to-day living? And so as a result, we saw solar panels starting to come into the country, a lot of water catchment systems. And the water catchment actually is something that Belizeans have been doing for quite a long time if they didn't want to be dependent on the public utilities here. But we're seeing that in addition to people who are coming down and owning in areas that are off-grid, people who are buying on the on-grid properties do tend to think eco-consciously as well. And so as a result, they are geared towards ownership of an eco home or eco-friendly features to be integrated into their home. And sometimes it's as simple as wanting to reduce your utility bills. Here in Belize, and typically in a lot of Caribbean countries, one of the biggest expenses you're going to have with home ownership is electricity. And electricity here is more expensive, about 2 to 3 times more expensive than what you're seeing in the United States. And as a result, people are thinking from that utility bill perspective and saying, you know what, I want to put solar panels in since I do want to run my air conditioner, or I am planning to have XYZ. A lot of times people are looking just to reduce their carbon footprint. I think as we become more conscious and aware of what's going on in the world around us, and as the population continues to grow, a lot of us would like to take a step back and live as eco-consciously as possible. And that also goes along the lines of living sustainably. Now, I do want to mention that if this is your first time considering ownership of an eco-friendly home or an off-grid home, it's really important for you to understand your consumption. And here's just a quick list of some items in your house that do tend to use the highest percentage of energy, right? So the HVAC system, your cooling and heating system, you're not going to necessarily have heating in Belize, but your HVAC system, right, for the cooling, that typically uses about half of the energy consumption in your house. Now, it's important to know that, because when you're looking at solar panels, for example, or let's say you're moving to Belize, right? And you're from somewhere in the north and you're used to having maybe seasons or cooler climates, or you're just not used to the humidity here in the country or just the tropical warmth, you are most likely going to want air conditioning in your home. Now, not all the time, right? Some people can open the windows, get a nice cross breeze come through, but you need to bear that in mind. Is, do you need AC? And if so, how many units do you need to live comfortably? If not, making sure that your windows are set up in a direction that is getting the best cross breeze. But I just wanted to throw this up here because a lot of times, I know for me personally, I had no idea what my consumption was. And it was typical for me to just turn on the ACs in the room as I was going in there, have the whole place cool down, keep the AC on, right, while I was home, maybe when I was gone too, keeping it on. So you really do need to start to think about these things as you're considering home ownership in an eco community. I do want to mention, as we continue through here, you're going to see opportunities available for ownership. All of those prices are in US dollars. Typically, real estate transactions here between foreigners happen in US. So I just wanted to make that note too before we jump in too much. So again, if you're new to the eco-friendly world, if you're trying to be more sustainable, understand what sort of features you can integrate into your home, or perhaps you're looking into your home, I will tell you a couple of the features here that we tend to see the most in Belize. Is the first one here on the top. It says eco-friendly building materials. A lot of times hardwood is integrated into the construction of these homes. Mahogany, bullet tree, there's a lot of wood that's grown here in Belize that is integrated in. And so a lot of times we like knowing where our materials are coming from and ensuring that they are eco-friendly. You do tend to find some LED lighting. I think should be more of a push for it over the future here, but it is certainly something that in these eco homes they do tend to capture. Solar panels, obviously, that is something that all eco homes do tend to have in order to get electricity. And I would say we don't find as many wind turbines here. Not a lot of the areas necessarily get the sort of wind that you need in order to have that work properly, but it is certainly something. The household water conservation, this is obviously dependent on the households. The other thing I want to mention here is the sustainable insulation. This is really important because when you're building, it's easy just to put up a frame. But if you are thinking eco-consciously, you want to make sure that your house is insulated so that it either keeps the cold air in and then the warmer temperatures out. Efficient energy appliances. And I have to say, a lot of times when people are picking up appliances that are energy efficient, they do tend to ship them in from outside of Belize. Belize is still catching up to this whole eco-conscious movement when it comes to home ownership. And so those do tend to need to be shipped in. And then the water reuse, this is where you tend to find a lot in the developments, is the gray water recycling, where they'll take the water, or they'll take the liquids that come in, clean it out, and then filter it through, and then use it for, let's say, irrigation of gardens or crops or something along those lines. And then rainwater harvesting, we do tend to find here that a lot of times the water systems, there's a water catchment system So we do get rain here in Belize. And so the rain will fill up the cisterns. And then from there, you'll have your rainwater that comes through. So, I mean, each home though that you look at is going to have different features to it. It's just really up to you to understand what those features are. Now, I want to mention, if this is your first time considering heat in eco home ownership, we do have a webinar coming up on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, I think it's November 9th, and we have an expert in this field who's going to be talking more about these different features, what you need to consider, different brands, for example, that you should be looking at. And I would encourage you to join us for that webinar. You can just reach out to me, info@lunarealty.com. We can get you registered for it. Even if you can't join the live session, we can certainly make sure that you have a link of the recording afterwards. All right, so now I'm going to have you just look inward for a moment and think about why it is you're looking for an eco home. What is it that you're most looking forward to? And the poll should have popped up there on your screen. Are you looking for no or low utility bills, reducing a carbon footprint, not depending on the grid, or other? If there is other, feel free to let us know in the chat what that is going to be, what that other reason is. And I'll give you guys just a couple more seconds here. We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. And it looks like a majority of folks said not depending on the grid or no or low utility bills. So awesome, awesome. And I think that that's really important for you too to understand is why is it that you want this eco home? What are you looking for? And then that'll help you decide moving forward what features you should be considering. So as we go through this eco home presentation, there are certain considerations that I do encourage you to think about. And these are really important for folks who are perhaps building a home or buying one that is already existing. When you're looking at a home, you want to understand what direction are the windows facing. And the reason for that is we want a nice cross breeze, especially if we don't want to be using a ton of electricity from our solar for ACs. We want to be able to have that breeze come right through. So you want to understand what direction the breeze is coming from and what direction are the windows in. In addition to that, we know the sun is rising and setting in the same location. So are the windows optimized for the sunrise and sunset? We mentioned before the insulation, that's extremely important, especially as you are cooling your home down. And then also the high ceilings. So you do tend to find a lot of the eco homes have higher ceilings because we know that heat rises, but it needs somewhere to go. So if there are the high ceilings, are there the windows there at the top level, the ceiling level, that can be open for that warm air to go out? In addition to that, you do want to be considering the solar panel system. Is it large enough for your consumption? Is it adequate for what you need? In addition to that, what direction are the solar panels facing? You need to understand, you probably want them in the direction where they're going to be hit the most from the sun that's coming in. And so you need to make sure that those are aligned properly. And these are all sort of considerations that on our Wednesday session, we're going to go through in greater depth for things for you to realize. In addition, we talked about the construction materials being locally sourced, understanding where the hardwood is from. And then if you're somebody who's thinking about living sustainably, perhaps living off of your land, it's important for you to know what the soil type is like around you, or is there soil? I'm on an island right now and we tend to have bedrock and sand and limestone, right? So if you want to garden, you will have to bring soil in order to do that. And then last but not least, this is really a you consideration, is do you have to give up anything that you're used to, right? The hot water, the AC, the dryer, the dishwasher, especially the AC, dryer, dishwasher. These are the largest consumers of energy in the house. And so just goes back to that solar panel system. But if you're not able to get or not willing to get a bigger solar panel system, these are considerations that you may have to cut back on. So we're first going to jump into Ambergris Caye here. So Ambergris Caye is the gold pin that you see over here. It's where I'm personally located. We are about 15-minute puddle jumper ride from the city, or about an hour and a half if we take the water taxi. And we have found that Ambergris Caye really is the top destination when it comes to tourism. I mentioned the reef. We have the reef that's right over here and parallels the rest of the country. But when we look out the window here, we can see the reef in the distance. It's about 5 minutes. And so a lot of times people are drawn to Ambergris Caye because it is a hub for expats and tourists, great diving and fishing and snorkeling here in the country. So Secret Beach is an area that's come up quite a bit, and they have one of the most beautiful beaches on the island. Ambergris Caye in Belize generally isn't really known as a beach destination. Yes, we have a beautiful coast. Yes, we're there on the Caribbean, but because we have that reef, going to go back a little bit here, but because we have that reef here on the east side of the island, we do tend to have seagrass that comes in. It's illegal to remove the living seagrass to protect the reef. So we don't necessarily have like those Aruba beautiful walk-in beaches on the east side of the island. Now, if you go to the west side of the island, that's where you do find Secret Beach. And Secret Beach has a really incredible calm waters, crystal clear. You can walk out for miles and go up to your hips over there, and you can just walk with a cocktail in your hand. And so Secret Beach has become popular over the last 5-7 years, I would say. It's still certainly in its infancy. It's still in growth mode. We've seen a bunch of appreciation for these properties here at Secret Beach. I would say, though, there are a few thousand of these lots. So if you're looking to own property here, you probably want to be owning in a place that's unique, right? Being inland within Secret Beach may have some advantages, but at the end of the day, when you're thinking about value and resale value, you do want to consider that what will sell best. And yes, there's thousands of lots here. So I'd say always think about that resale value, and Waterview and Waterfront are always the ones that are going to continue to sell and sell better than anything that's further inland. So right now there are 2 lots available. These are third row lots. And what's nice about these is that there's the easement right over here. So the public road, so that you have a break between the views, right? So you have 2 lots in front of you, and then you have the easement, and then the third lot right there, or the third row right there. So you're able to have a little bit of space between that and the second row lot. These are going for $110,000 each. And I do want to mention that I'm highlighting this because it is an off-grid area. There are no public utilities at Secret Beach. Everything that is there is either solar or generator, and they have water catchment systems. So when I talk about Secret Beach, when you hear people talk about Secret Beach, yes, there's a lot of growth. Yes, there's a lot of development going on there. Again, still in its infancy stages, but it's not connected to the grid. I have heard people telling me for the last 5 years, electricity is coming, electricity is coming. At one point, there were even some posts that were put in, but I can tell you that there are no utilities here at this current moment. So I would never recommend buying on speculation of something coming, because we are in a developing country where it can take a long time. So just bear that in mind, but look at what's there, what's currently there, what's currently being built, and then understanding that. So this is, I would say, great for a buy and hold, or great for a future build because of the location here, going for $110,000 each. If you want coastal land in this area, again, no utilities, but those go for about $300,000 for those beachfront lots. Now, if you are ready to move and you want to be down here sooner rather than later, or perhaps you're looking for a place that you can rent out on the long-term basis, this is a great home that is being sold. The owners have to go back to the States for medical reasons, but this is a home that was built totally off-grid there at Secret Beach. It's a few years old at this point, so still a very new home, but it's about a little over 1,000 square feet, 2-bed, 2-bath. And this is totally off grid. It's only a 5-minute drive from Secret Beach. So you can see the red circle there of where it's located. And here they do have those sort of amenities that you have to consider. There is AC, there is hot water. There are new appliances that were just put in. There's cameras there too for security if you want to have the cameras. So this is, I think, one of the best options that I've seen for sale at Secret Beach. Another big feature here is the screened-in porch. So you do have that nice outdoor living space as well. And you can see as you look here at the pictures, there's really nice integrations of the local hardwoods. Oh, I want to mention as well, folks, in the beginning of the title here, you'll see numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we go up to 11. So if you are interested in something that you see in one of the properties, remember the number, jot that down, and then you'll want to send me an email afterwards, info@lunarealtybelize.com with that number, so that we can send you more information. So 1, Secret Beach Lots, that is here obviously on the Secret Beach area. 2 would be the Secret Beach home. That's a 2-bed, 2-bath. This one's going for a little under $230. And nice part is all the furniture is already included, so you don't have to worry about furnishings. If you're somebody who's looking for a business, you're ready to come down to Belize and perhaps still have the money coming in and work a little bit, these are really adorable cottages, rental cottages there on Secret Beach. You have incredible views of the water. These are going for $850. There are 4 guest cottages, a second floor accommodations, which can fit up to 4 people, and then also a caretaker's apartment, all on site. It's operating already as a hotel. They have their business license and they are good to go. I would recommend looking at this one if you are thinking about owning something that's sustainable, something that's already existing and is there on the coast. This is number 3, Secret Beach Cottages. And if you are somebody who's looking for a business in Belize, we can certainly help you with that. We can always have you sign an NDA if you want any of the financials, but this is a really great opportunity to explore here if you are looking for a business to operate. The 4th opportunity I would recommend is an ownership of lot. This is, again, all this is off grid. So I would recommend this if you're looking for something to build in the future, or perhaps you're ready to go right now. This is a key that's just off the coast of Ambergris Caye on the northeast side of the property, or sorry, northwest side of Ambergris Caye. So you're able to still have that really beautiful water like we saw there at Secret Beach. This is a picture. We were out there the other day, just driving around and taking a look at the water. It is just so incredibly beautiful. And so we found that, as we mentioned at Secret Beach, the waterfront lots there are going for $350,000. Here, these start at about $95,000. If you're looking at a second row, so you can see right over here on the survey map, sorry, it's a little small, but if you're looking at the second row, those are only about $45,000. So this, in my personal opinion, is one of the best opportunities for buy and hold, or something if you're looking at an investment opportunity in the future. I would even recommend picking up a few of these lots here. And then from there, you're able to perhaps do a fly fishing lodge. This is a really popular area for fly fishing when people come to Ambergris Caye. Incredible area of flats for people to get out to. But personally, I think this is one of the best opportunities right now because of the land values, and we've seen land values just continue to go up. So number 4 here is Bracelet Key, and it's, I mean, just right across, I don't know, it's about 50 feet from Ambergris Caye. So you can still see Ambergris Caye, but it is considered a key since it is standalone. And so that's number 4, Bracelet Key. Number 5 here is still, we're on Ambergris Caye. We're on the west side of the island now. And so we're at Secret Beach, and just go about 10 minutes down south, 15 minutes south of Secret Beach. And there's a canal front community here that is just opening up, and they're offering tiny homes, 2 bedrooms and 3 bedroom models that are off grid. And this is one of my favorites. These are the tiny homes that are there. They're about 240,000, but they integrated in these off grid features. So of course the solar panels, although they have the ability to connect to the grid there, the electricity, with these specifically, they will have solar, and you can actually opt to be connected to the grid too, which I know for a lot of people provides peace of mind. Dipping pools can be added, but they are there on the canal, and it's just a really incredible view of what's there. So we have the tiny homes, which are about 615 square feet, larger 2 bedroom and 3 bedroom models. Here, up to 50% financing is available. I do like to mention this because a lot of times in Belize, financing is not available for foreigners, but here you are able to get 50% directly with the developer. So number 5, Canal Front Lex Tiny Homes. All right, so we're going to jump on over to Keycocker. So this is the sister island to Ambergris Caye. You can see here, it's like seafoam green color. This is Keycocker. It's about a half-an-hour boat ride from Ambergris to get to our sister island of Keycocker. At Keycocker, there's not much inventory right now, but on the south side of Keycocker, rather, there are off-grid lots and homes. A lot of the lots are currently sold, or they're going for about 65 to 70,000 US. But there is a Keycocker fixer-upper, and I've had a couple of people reach out, and they're really into the fixer-uppers, and I know there's just a lot of potential with these homes, but there just hasn't been the opportunity for the original owner to really move forward with it. So if you're somebody who is looking for that fixer-upper, it really has the strong bones, and I think that's one of the most important parts of the bones of the building. But you can really fix this up to have it be what you want. This is a 2 bedroom, 1 bath going for 185. At one point I do want to mention is that it has the concrete pilings and foundation there, which is so critical. I think when you're building anywhere in Belize, you want to make sure that you have the concrete pilings and foundation just for that stability aspect. But this one, it's a little hard to see here, but there's a yellow pin here. This is a third row, and from the water, which is where this home is located. So we already have the solar panels, the water tanks, all of that is already included. We're just looking for the person to come in and take it over and really make it their own. So this is number 6. This is the Keycocker fixer-upper at 185. Again, all prices are in US dollars. All right, we're going to jump over to Coyote now. So Coyote is known for the jungles and river tubing and just a really different sort of environment than the Keys. And we're going to go over here to the forest colored pin that we see over here in the Coyote district. So this is the area we're going to jump to now. And Coyote, we tend to see in Coyote, there's a town called San Ignacio. And this area over here around San Ignacio and the town is where we tend to find a lot of the expats who are coming in who don't necessarily want to live on an island, right? I know island life is appealing for a lot of people, but for others, they'd rather be on the mainland. And this, I'm going to show you two opportunities with this specific development. It's a riverfront development there in Coyote. It's located about 15 minutes from San Ignacio, the main hub there of the Coyote district, and about 20 minutes to Spanish Lookout. Spanish Lookout is actually a Mennonite community in Belize. And so they do a lot of manufacturing of wooden products. There's a lot of farming that goes on over there too. So you have close access to these two big Coyote communities located within just 15, 20 minutes of the property. So this is one that is a riverfront community. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath. It's quite large, about 3,200 square feet. But what's really nice about this, and if you follow my cursor about this home here, is you can see underneath the house, there is storage and there's also a parking garage, which really isn't too common in the country. So if you're somebody who just wants a little bit more security of either your vehicle or your items, I know a lot of times as North Americans, we tend to just have a lot of stuff. And so you can put that there in the storage if you do want to be down here full time. And I think one of the best features for me, and I said this before with the other homes, is that screened in veranda. And because you are located on the river over here, as you sit outside on the back side of the house, you're able to just look out there into the jungle. And it's pretty neat too. You can typically hear howler monkeys. I don't know if you guys, I don't even want to try to make the sound of a howler monkey. They're tiny little things, tiny little monkeys, but the sounds are loud. They kind of sound like whales a little bit, but it's a really unique feature to being in the jungle space. So this one's going for $389. And if you see anything in the presentation here that is of interest, just reach out again with the number that you see here at the top of the screen. And this is a Coyote Riverfront home. And you can see from the build that it is built with concrete and very solid foundation. All right, so within the same development, there is a cute tiny home cottage or a cozy Coyote cottage. And this is about 612 square feet. And what's nice about this model is there's a loft feature to it. So not all of the tiny homes in this community have that loft feature, but this adds an additional floor essentially for either your storage or if you wanted to put a bed up there or something along those lines. This one's going for $149.9 and short-term financing is considered short-term. I mean, 1 year. So it is short-term, but at least it gives you a chance to get your ducks in a row if you weren't prepared for ownership yet. And again, in the same community, so you have that convenience to get back and forth to the same towns we talked about before, San Ignacio and also Spanish Lookout. All right, now outside of that development, there is a home there that is going for about $200,000. And what's neat about this is if you're somebody who just wants to be remote, right? Maybe you don't want to necessarily be in a development, you want space, you want acreage. This is one that I found was 45 acres of land and it's going for about $200,000. This one is located about 30 minutes from Benque Viejo or about 45 minutes from San Ignacio town. So it is a little bit further than the primary towns. But again, if you're somebody who's looking for more remote, this could be an option for you. This is going for $200,000. This is number 9. This is remote off-grid living in the Coyote district. All right, now we're going to jump down to the Sand Creek district where you see the 2 blue pins. There's Hopkins and Placencia. Hopkins and Placencia, these are 2 coastal communities that are pretty popular when people are coming into Belize. And so I found a couple of great opportunities there. If you're somebody who's looking at for a buy and hold, so ownership of land banking, this is located in between Placencia and Hopkins. It's about right in between. There's Hopkins. Let me go back to the map over here. There's Hopkins, and then about an hour south of that is Placencia. So we're talking right here, smack dab in the middle. It's about 30 minutes from each. And what's neat about this property is you have the beautiful coastal views, and then you also have the mountain views behind it. So these lots are going for $25,000 US. It's a 60 by 120. That's pretty standard here in Belize in terms of dimensions of a lot. But there's also the beachfront one going for $75,000 if you're just looking to hold on to something. perhaps build in the future. Again, remember, these are all off grid. There's no utilities here. There is road access, so you're at least able to get to it, but this is where you'll be able to feature the eco features that we talked about before. All right, and then last but not least, this is closer to Hopkins. It's about 10 minutes into the town in an area called City River. The City River is a popular place for expats and people who want to be in Hopkins, but maybe they don't want to be coastal front, but they do want to have a water view. And it's located on a larger plot of land, 6.6 acres. So there's tons of room for development. I really look at this like an investment opportunity, right? You look at the picture over here and it's a fun, quirky, unique property in Belize. And so if you're somebody who's looking to invest and perhaps you want to put this on Airbnb or something along those lines, you're certainly able to do so, but you can continue building with this funky feel to it. So this is a 1-bedroom, 2-bath going for $415. And what makes this property really unique, you can kind of see it here in the bottom left. It's a small picture, I apologize, is the fact that there is the river right there. So that's really where you're seeing a lot of the value to. 6 acres on the river is really quite substantial, but these are off-grid homes. All right, so that's number 11. I'm going to just do a quick run through of these again. And then again, as you folks have questions, we can certainly answer those about the specific properties. Just email me info@lunarealty.com and we get those details to you. So number 1 is the Secret Beach lots. Number 2 is the Secret Beach home, 2-bed, 2-bath going for $229. Number 3 are the Secret Beach cottages. This is really a business. I guess you don't have to keep them in the business. If you are maybe looking for a family compound or something, this would be a great option there too. But this is going for $850 US. That's number 3. And number 4 is Bracelet Key. That is waterfront and second row lots starting at $45,000. 5 is the Canal front tiny homes. If you're looking for something larger, do remember there are the 2 and 3-bedroom options here as well, where we can certainly send you those details. Number 6 is that Keycocker fixer-upper. This is located on the southern side of Keycocker. You can see that little pin there. Coming into Coyote, now we have the Coyote Riverfront property, 2-bed, 2-bath going for $389. Cozy Coyote Cottage going for $149. And this is where we have 1-year financing considered. Number 9 is the remote off-grid living. This is the solar home on 45 acres going for about $200,000. And then last couple here, we have number 10. This is the buy and hold lot. And this is in between Placentia and Hopkins for about 25,000. Or you can have the beachfront one for 75. And then the investment opportunity right there, Hopkins, it's about 415,000 on the City River there. Has the dock, has plenty of room for expansion. So great investment opportunity. So as I mentioned before, we have our Eco 101 ownership, Eco Home Ownership 101 course coming up. This is going to be on Wednesday on November 9th at 12 o'clock Eastern time. We would love for you to join us. You know, I know personally for me, I've always lived somewhere that was connected to the grid. And just a couple of years ago on Ambergris Caye, I moved up north and we still have public electricity, but we don't have public water. So here there are water catchment systems and cisterns. And I was living in my new place for about 2 months and went to go flush the toilet. And I heard like this gargling sound and it sounded like I just had no idea what was going on. I went to go turn on the water in the kitchen, still nothing. And so I called the landlord and she goes, "Did you check the cistern? Do you have water?" And I was like, "No, actually I didn't," because I've just been so used to being able to turn the water on and being connected to public water that I didn't even consider that I wasn't going to have water. And so I checked the cistern, it was bone dry. And so we had to bring water in, which they'll do. There are trucks, water trucks that will come in and bring water if you run out. So it's not the end of the world, but it just takes a little bit of remembering to check your utilities to make sure that you have what you need. So, you know, I kind of wish that I knew these things prior to moving into a home that was not connected to the grid 100%. And so during the session coming up on Wednesday, we're going to talk about that more, you know, really what you need to consider, what you need to look for. I think for a lot of people, it may be a new avenue for you is owning an eco home and living an eco-friendly lifestyle. And so there are ways to do it very easily and sustainably, but you just want to be prepared for it. So with that being said, reach out to us. You can register for this one directly there on the website, lunarealtybelize.com/webinars. And you'll see that this is scheduled for the 9th. And just a reminder, even if you can't join these live sessions, register anyway. We're going to put these up on YouTube afterwards so that you can get the content and understand more about what we chatted about. And so as I mentioned, we have the webinar coming up on the 9th. And, for me, a lot of these webinars are educational really, and to help you understand what's going on in the market. Most times foreigners who are buying in Belize don't live here yet, right? They're looking at Belize as a place to invest or retire at some point or buy and hold. And so it is important for you to know what's going on at the end of the day. So we have a couple more webinars scheduled for the rest of this month. We're going to be talking about a Riverfront community in Coyote on the 15th. We're going to talk about the Canal front Lux homes we mentioned, the property update, construction update on the 18th of November. And then also we're going to just highlight tiny homes. Tiny homes are a really popular option for ownership, and they do tend to be off grid. So integrate that off grid feature. That'll be on Tuesday, November 29th. But if you go to lunarealtybelize.com/webinars, all of the latest updates are on there. And you'll also find the recordings from previous sessions that were missed. So quick question for you. And I just realized that we don't have this in the poll here, so we can go into the Q&A section and answer it. When will you be ready to own? When will you be ready to own? And I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to find that Q&A section and then type in your answer. Is it A, within the next 30 days, B, 1 to 3 months, C, 3 to 6 months, D, 6 months to a year, or E, 1+ year? Feel free to find that Q&A section and then type that in there. And the reason that I ask that is I talk to folks who are at all different parts of the research phase and education phase. And at some points they're ready to go tomorrow and they want to know what's in the market. Other times like, yep, 2-3 years from now, let us know what's available. And so obviously the market is changing. It's been growing quite rapidly as more people find out about Belize. And so this will at least help gauge our conversations. All right, so it looks like we have people who are ready in the next month, which is awesome. 1 year. All right, looks like we have a variety of answers over here. So good. I'm glad to see that. And again, it's important for me to know that too, so that we're gauging the conversations in the correct direction. All right, if there was any specific property that you wanted more information about, remember 1 through 11, feel free to email me there, info@lunarealtybelize.com, and we can get those details over to you, get you more information about the listing, more pictures, and all of those details. Now, with that being said, folks, what I'll do is open the floor to questions here. I know a lot of you were just asking about the link for the webinar on Wednesday, so we'll certainly get that out to you and whatnot. Also, just as a reminder, we are recording this, so we will put the recording up on YouTube. I'll email you a copy of the recording afterwards with some additional resources for you to consider as you're looking at your eco homes, and then we will go from there. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Saturday. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. I see Carla just sent one question there, so I do want to get that answered. Do you have to bring in soil in the Coyote district for gardening? No, not really. A lot of the Coyote district is quite fertile. I mean, some areas are more fertile than others, but no, it's actually where you do tend to find a lot of the farming and agriculture. So great question, Carla. Very good. And then Carla, yeah, cost to build. I'm glad that you mentioned this. So costs have gone up substantially. If for a home, it's about $140 US a square foot to build, pretty standard. You may be able to get and that's on the islands here. So on Keycocker and Ambergris Caye. Now, once you get to the mainland, it may be a little bit less than that because you don't have that transportation cost. But for a basic home, it's about $140 US a square foot. If you want really, luxury, I'd say about $200 US a square foot. It's important to remember that, especially with eco homes like this, that the biggest costs that you're going to have, yes, is materials, of course, and then labor. Is actually a lot less expensive than it tends to be in the States. But the thing that you have to consider are the systems that you're putting into your home. Solar panels, for example, good solar panels can cost you $30,000, $40,000 US, right? And now the benefit to that is you don't have the utility bills going down the line. You don't have those electricity bills of $200, $300, $400, $500 Belize a month. So it'll probably pay itself out, but you do need to front those costs prior to the build. So the quotes that I'm giving you do not include these eco features, right? It depends entirely on what system you choose, what sort of features you want to put into the home, but that does tend to be a big expense. So about $140 for basic construction. If you want luxury, you're looking at about $200 a square foot. Yeah, really great question. And we're going to go through more on that Wednesday session. features for you to bear in mind. And we'll have estimates of prices. Obviously, a lot of it just depends on when you're buying, what they'll charge you in duties and customs if you're bringing it in. But a lot of different opportunities for you there. But Carla, I'd say that's a pretty safe bet. Alrighty, folks. Well, with that being said, thank you again for joining us on this Saturday. I look forward to hearing from you soon. And you have my email address. I'll shoot you an email afterwards as well with this recording, and hope to meet you in person at some point if we haven't had the chance to. Otherwise, we'll chat online. Bye, everyone.